the thing that's really been setting in over the last 24 hours now is those of us in Rhode Island know we're all 2 degrees of separation from one another. And that is starting to hit home for folks with how personal this has become. I'm hearing from more and more people who didn't realize that they knew one of their friends' kids was in the building, or their neighbor works in the building next door, or what have you. It's like before long, everyone in Providence will know that they had some connection to this event, and that's starting to ripple out into the community, and it's making it all very personal. I think I saw 5 students and then 1 additional parent whose kid was in surgery. One of the kids was sort of cracking jokes, which was surprising, but he said it. He says, I obviously don't know how to process what I've been through, so I just keep cracking jokes. And he cracked a joke about, well, at least finals got canceled. And to me, I mean, this was obviously someone who's just gone through an incredibly traumatic experience, but I was a college kid, and I know a lot of kids. It's like, he just felt like a lot of kids I've met before who maybe don't know how to deal with something really heavy, and so they crack a somewhat inappropriate joke, not like crass, but but inappropriate for the moment because he didn't know how to deal with it otherwise, and it just felt so genuinely and sincerely human and youthful. That was sort of at one end of the spectrum that made me smile. The other end of the spectrum that made me cry was one of the students was convinced, and he might very well be right as we find out more details of precisely what happened that day, that one of his classmates had saved his life.
Oh, wow.
And I think he described to me that he had pulled him down, presumably to the floor, and really needed and wanted to know how that student was doing. And the gratitude that he had and the reflection that I had of, here's a kid with gunshot wounds in the hospital, and his concern is for someone else at the moment.
Wow.
And I just thought that was such a beautiful thing and such a testament to his character. The press conference that followed was really hard. It was a credible lead, but it was a lead that turned out to be a dead end. And so I had gotten my hopes up, and everyone, I think, had gotten their hopes up. And so I was disappointed, and it is clearly a setback, but it is not true that we are back to square one. There is a full investigation underway. There was always a full investigation underway, and some resources got devoted to running down the lead that got extinguished yesterday, but there were plenty of other resources that were still exploring other tips, other pieces of evidence, still interviewing witnesses and such. And so we're not back to square one, we just suffered a setback. Ever since the shooting itself, which was just after 4 o'clock on Saturday, to today, and it hasn't been 48 hours yet, but we're working on day 2 here, we have not received a single call in Providence or in the state of Rhode Island that has been a credible threat to public safety having anything to do with the incident on Saturday. That's the first thing. And so while it is true that we do not have a suspect in custody, there is also no evidence to suggest that there is an ongoing threat at this time. That's the first thing that I say. And I know that is still unsettling. Of course it is. It's natural that that's unsettling. But we can't hide in our house for the rest of our lives. And we've got a full complement of law enforcement in the neighborhood, in the city, and in the state, working really hard on this. And that's the second part, which is to give that reassurance, to give that comfort. There is a dramatically enhanced law enforcement presence on campus and in the surrounding areas, so that when folks do venture out, they're going to see a police officer. And by the way, it might not be a Providence police officer, because there's been a lot of people offering to help, and we've taken that help. We have a mental health crisis, a gun crisis, and frankly, a broken culture in this country about violence. We've not seen anything in the first 10 months of this administration that would make our community safer from the threat of gun violence. but we're going to continue to advocate for those changes. As a city, as a state, certainly our congressional delegation is doing their part